Hello, this is Brad here, and as you can see, I'm still pretty congested, but I wanted to try to make my way through a video here. I decided to do a video about blind buying and my thoughts on blind buying, maybe my experiences with blind buying. Um, when I first started my fragrance journey, blind buying was a big part of what I was doing, and I'd have to say, in my experience, it hasn't been the most productive way to spend my money and to discover new fragrances. Wasted a lot of money on buying bottles that I didn't really like, and now they're just kind of gathering dust and wasting space. So I just thought I would maybe try to help you guys out by sharing my thoughts on blind buying. Um, so, first of all, I'll let you know that no matter how well you research a fragrance, unless you've actually sampled it on your skin, there's not really 100% sure guarantee that it's going to be a good purchase. So you have to always take that into consideration and ask yourself, well, what happens if I do end up with a dud? How am I going to deal with that? I know some people, they would put it up for swap. However, take into consideration that with swapping, there are going to be some postage, shipping issues, so that's lost money as well. You could save it for decanting. That's always actually a pretty good thing to do. That's what I like to do, is just decant and swap with people sometimes. So it's good to have fragrances in your collection that you don't like for that purpose. Um, Another thing people might try to do is if they buy it at a store, they could try to return it. I'm not really sure what the policy is on returning fragrances that you don't like. If you can get 100% refund or credit, no questions asked, well, then that pretty much makes blind buying pretty like a no-brainer thing. The store is taking the loss instead of the buyer, but I'm not sure how that works. I haven't actually done it myself, so I'm not sure how that goes. So, like I said, no sure thing. You have to ask yourself, if I get a dud, what am I going to do with the dud? Some people are collectors, and if you're a collector, maybe you don't even care what the juice smells like. You just want the bottle anyway. In that case, no brainer. Just buy what you want. Okay, so next up is, what do you do to avoid blind buying? Well, obviously, sampling is the way to go. Uh, there's a lot of great websites for samples. eBay has tons. FragranceVials.com. Scented Monkey has 1 milliliter decant samples. People like Cubby sell decants you can swap with fellow YouTubers. That's what I like to do. You can get those little accessories for fragrances.com decant. It's like 2.5 or 3 milliliter atomizers, and swap with people. So that's a great way to test out and learn about new fragrances. Maybe your girlfriend or wife will say, well, I smelled this fragrance on a guy and I really liked it. Um, or you've smelled something on a coworker and really liked it. That's getting into iffy territories, because you're looking at somebody else's skin and you don't know if that's actually how it's going to smell on your skin. And if your wife likes it, there's no guarantee that you're going to like it either. So are you going to wear something just to make her happy? Maybe 1 or 2 bottles to make her happy, but you'd hate to have a whole wardrobe that you're wearing just to make somebody else happy. So that's kind of my thoughts on that. Um, as far as online reviews go, and that's where things get kind of interesting. I've done a lot of blind buying just based on reviews, written reviews. I think I actually started my journey with a website called perfumemporium.com, which has a ton of reviews. Base Notes has a ton of reviews. Fragrantica has reviews. I haven't really gotten into Fragrantica reviews until just recently, but you know what I'm talking about. You always see these reviewers. They'll say things like, "This is the best thing I've ever smelled. My boyfriend wears this, and it's incredible. There's not a better fragrance out there than this." You got to be iffy with those types of reviews. You don't know, what what foundation these people are coming from. Some people may have only smelled 5 or 6 different things, and they say, "This is the best I've ever smelled." What does that tell you? Not much. So that's why I like to be able to identify with my reviewers a little bit better before I would take their opinion too seriously. And on YouTube, that's pretty easy to do. Everybody has like their own channel, and you can maybe identify with certain reviewers and have similar taste. It might not be a fail-safe way to blind buy, but at least it puts you in the ballpark. So that's good to have if you can just identify with a reviewer. Um, and finally, okay, let's say you've tried all your avenues. You can't find samples. You can't find anybody to swap with. You haven't seen the fragrance in the store. There's no testers. Nobody else seems to have this fragrance, but you read about it, you heard about it, and you just have to have it. How do you go about that? Well, first of all, I would say recommend look at that note pyramid very carefully. Make sure you understand what notes are, in that fragrance. Does it sound like it's something you already have in your collection? If that's the case, you might end up with something that smells very similar to something you already have. The year of release can be very important. If it was released, before like 1985 or 90 or something, it could smell dated. That might be a red flag right there. The type of fragrance, how is it categorized? Is it like a spicy, woodsy? Is it like aquatic? You want to make sure you know what kind of fragrance you're getting, and if that's the kind of fragrance that you're looking for. The occasion as well. If you're more into like evening wear, you want to stay away from blind buying day wear. If you're more into day wear, you might not want to be blind buying evening wear, stuff like that. And the age range. Now, for me being in my 40s, I don't want a fragrance that's going to make me smell too mature, but not something that's going to make me smell too juvenile either. So study that age range. Make sure it's something that suits your age range. So that was just some thoughts that I came up with on blind buying. Try to avoid it at all costs. In the beginning of your journey, I would say stick with the ones that are easy to get samples of, because you're going to want to come back to those fragrances eventually anyway. And then when you get to some of those trickier ones, like for me, like J. Peterman 1903, or the Lot Acetane fragrances, maybe save those towards the end of your journey when you have a better idea of what actually makes a fragrance smell the way it does, how the notes interact with each other, and then you can make a wiser blind buying decision that way. So thanks for watching and bearing with me, and I hope I helped you guys out. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.